Good morning. Welcome to another Kerfuffle Spotlight, and I'm delighted to have Paul here today from Stitch. Paul, how are you? You well?
Yeah, very well, thanks, Simon. Yeah, good. Yeah, as I said earlier, the sun is shining, so it's a good day. It's not raining, so everything starts well when it's looking bright and sunny. It looks pretty good where you are, actually. I know we're about 100 miles apart.
We're in Manchester, and it's normal. It's just the depressing north now. We're basically in for winter. Paul, the title of today's is what is WhatsApp API and how can it benefit estate agents in the new normal? Now, I'm particularly all over this one. This is a perfect webinar for a Friday, as far as I'm concerned. Here, obviously, given that I think 80% of my communication must be via WhatsApp. First of all, though, could we just get a bit of your background before we deal into
So for about nearly 20 years, I was part of a team of three of us that had an IT and telecoms business. So we grew to about 40 staff, about 6 million turnover, and we put in phone systems. We did IT support. We were like the IT department for our clients. So we had about 1,000 customers in total. And I did that, and I sold that business nearly 3 years ago. So background is techie related. I'm not an engineer, I'm not a developer, but I understand technology, how it applies itself. So that's my background basically.
Good stuff. And Stitch, talk us through Stitch.
So when I sold that business, I took a year out wondering, what am I going to do the rest of my life? And we came across the WhatsApp API, and it took me about 2 months to get my head around it. And it kind of just sort of made me realize that there's an opportunity here. So in my last organization, we provided phone systems, we provided email systems. And basically what Stitch does is provide WhatsApp systems. It's, as you said, the way we communicate as individuals now has just, in the last 3 or 4 years, I think it's changed more in the last 3 years than it has in the last 20. Email's been around for ages. The email is just an evolution of the letter, and telephone systems haven't, apart from a few minor things, the core functionality of the phone system hasn't changed in 20 years. But the way we now communicate in WhatsApp is changed everything with chat. So what Stitch does is we help brands, and one thing I've said and I'll say before, we're not prop tech. We're about as prop tech as a stamp. We are providing a communication solution that, hey, we can integrate it into PropTech. We've got quite a few stories to tell there, but we never set out to be a single solution to one vertical market. We provide services to recruitment companies, car dealers, e-commerce, retail. The point is, you've got consumers on WhatsApp, and you've got businesses who tend to just live out of email and phone. And there's a huge disconnect there. So yes, that's what we do. We help brands, and we sell three different types of WhatsApp solutions, because that one size doesn't fit all. What one client wants to do one journey, another one doesn't. So you're not going to fit. WhatsApp don't just provide one solution. Their API is an API. It's not even a solution. You've got to build software around it. So that's the core of what we do. Is all on that journey of chat.
And so we shouldn't really have to try and persuade anyone, because I think it's fair to say, obviously, I'd be very surprised if people weren't using WhatsApp themselves, just in a day-to-day metaphor. And if you go to if you want to go where your clients are, well, there's only one place, isn't it? And that is simply WhatsApp.
It's an interesting one because there's other messenger solutions out there, but there's been a big shift, and certainly in the UK, well, certainly in Europe, certainly in the UK. What's driven WhatsApp is the groups.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't want to post publicly now. They don't want to just go and put whatever. They post into groups, and it's groups is what drive people into the app. And it's not as funny. I spoke to one prospect not that long ago, and his instant reply was, "Oh, we don't do social media. It's not our bag." And WhatsApp isn't social media. It is a messaging, and the reason why it works is it's that persistent chat. There's no, every time an email comes in, it's a new thread effectively. Email is full of spam and junk. You've got, but WhatsApp is a closed environment where you're in complete control of.
Yeah.
So when I said earlier it took me 2 months to get my head around this whole thing, absolutely, it's technically what WhatsApp are doing, what is their strategy, why aren't WhatsApp selling this? Was my first question to myself. Well,
Yeah.
is there an opportunity? And yeah, just the way that WhatsApp want to take it to market is there are two choices. They could have either done the Facebook route, which is sponsorship or advertising, but they can't
Yeah.
kind of go down the subscription route. So whilst WhatsApp clearly want to monetize their platform, they really don't want to go upsetting users by giving every business in the world the ability just to reach out and send you a WhatsApp, because it would then defeat the object of why we like WhatsApp. So there are some sort of rules and ways around it, but it for any organization who need to be able to speak to those clients, need to be able to chat, it's the WhatsApp API is the core of everything. We then just build software around the outside and deliver it to a business to say, right, there you go. We can get you up and running. We can converting portal leads into chats. We're taking QR codes out of branch windows and automating virtual viewings. So when someone's walking past a branch window, they can just scan a QR code and get a virtual viewing of that property.
Yeah.
So it's about, I've had other people say, well, I've got email, why can't we do that? It's like, well, you don't email your mates about organising a night out on Friday. You just don't use it that way. And the other analogy is like, when there's a fire in your house, you call the fire brigade. You don't email the brigade. There's a certain type of communication channel that's relevant at different different stages of a relationship, of a conversation. And I think we know time poor is used quite a lot. And I don't know about you, but since I think in the last couple of years, I prefer to book a phone call in. I don't just pick up the phone to someone. It's almost like let's schedule in a call. There seems to be much more of don't just call people. And I think the feedback we get from agents is that people don't pick up the phone like they used to. You call them and then my background is telecoms, right? Voicemail. It is so 90s. Who leaves voicemails?
Yeah.
It's just we've all got them on our phones, but we don't use them. And again, because my background is telecoms, I know thousands. A call comes into a main number. If no one answers it, goes to voice. Who?
Yeah. I react with horror and disgust when somebody leaves me a voicemail on WhatsApp itself. It's like don't sully the platform with your voicemails. And it is interesting, isn't it? Apple launched their new iPhone 12 the other day. They're remarkably moving away from their core activity these days, aren't they? There's a whole demographic of it's unfair to criticize just the youth of today, but actually phone conversations are done on their basis, on their terms when they want to do it. They do not just respond, do they, to the ad hoc thing? It's getting much harder. Now, whether that's just getting viewing feedback or, just any number of different things, they prefer to respond in the methodology that they want. And actually something nice and passive in terms of activity like WhatsApp is why it's so perfect, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Take some other examples, right? So agents tell us, I mean, we see this from the stats as well. Calls get missed, right? So customer calls in. Now, what is worse? People are busy, they're out doing viewings, whatever. The phone rings, and the trouble with the phone is it's a synchronous. And I don't want to get too technical in terms, but it's synchronous, right? So the phone rings, you've got to be there to answer it there and then, and you don't. And it's a pretty poor experience if you don't answer it. So the alternative, you send the call onto a third-party call answering service, you take a message, that effectively lead gets emailed back into the place where all of these Rightmove leads come in, outsourced live chat leads come in. Email is actually a lot of the problem, certainly in a shared inbox environment. All right, an email goes into a sales app, and that email just gets distributed to 8 people. Those 8 people have got to reply all. So whether it's an abandoned phone call, people leaving messages, even a message taking service, the whole journey is quite disjointed when someone doesn't answer that phone. But of course, what we're doing is, on most phone systems, you can do this. It doesn't require any major hardware change, but on your phone system, sorry, can't take your call right now. Please continue to hold or press 1 to start a WhatsApp chat. We've got that. We've got that working now with independent agents with different phone systems. That isn't difficult for us to do. And what we're seeing is it's about between 10 and 40 chats a month are being started in WhatsApp where the customer would have hung up. And I you know,
Yeah.
and I never, and I've heard, I remember one agent, one fairly large group said to me, oh, if I hear the words, oh, our software would get us one more listing. I don't want to use that phrase, but if you've got 30 calls a month that you're not taking, and think of that journey from the customer's perspective. He might just pick, he might have a house to sell, and he might think, well, they didn't answer my phone, but why do I want them selling it? And
Yeah.
the realization is you're not going to answer every phone every time. It's just not going to do it. But in other verticals, we work with the automotive market, and we've seen call rates drop by over half. Now that's not a bad thing. Just what it means is they're being served, and the big thing. The bit I said synchronous earlier. So most agents there's two channels, right? You've got live chat is synchronous. You've got to answer someone within 15 seconds, which is why it's outsourced, and the phone is real time. WhatsApp is asynchronous. You don't. So if you think about it, if I go to a website and I start a chat, the business doesn't have to respond to me within 10 seconds because I'm not served at that website. So by moving conversations away from synchronous to asynchronous, it means it can be managed in house.
Yeah.
And then the customer is responded to in channel. So, custom, that does call up. Oh, no one's answering. I press 1 to start a chat. All the clever things in the background happen. We connect the branch. So if you're a multi-brancher, we can connect it to the lettings team at branch A or the sales team at branch B. We can do all that sort of stuff, and then we're connecting the customer to the right team, and then it's responding in channel. And it may well be that are you good for a phone call at 4:00 today? Often chatting is a way of and it's what we said earlier. It's when it's on the customer's terms. They could be working. They could be on a shift. They could be, who knows. The customers aren't always there when we want them to answer the phone.
But you close down the opportunities, the critical points.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ryan clearly likes that. What he doesn't like it as much. Hi, Ryan. He clearly doesn't like the idea. What's he saying here? It's the only safe place he's safe from Kerfuffle. Sadly, still not taken away. He's in about 7 groups with me, so the poor fellow. Unfortunately for you, Ryan, we signed up to Stitch the minute I saw it, so you will be getting your Kerfuffle news as well now. So, watch this space. You mentioned there, Paul, you're in other verticals as well. Is there any? Is the consumer behaviour almost identical, or are there differences that are niche?
No, it's very similar. So let's take automotive. So in the same way that agents get a lot of leads through third-party portals, same for the car industry, Auto Trader. Yeah, and we do exactly the same thing with Auto Trader. We turn it into a WhatsApp chat within seconds of them, because again, it's email. It's phone or email. All right. Yep. So, and I think you'll tell me this. It's roughly 50-50, isn't it, in terms of Rightmove leads or Zoopla leads or whatever, that call or submit on the form. So the ones that submit on the form, they're the ones that we're converting. So similar with automotive recruitment, people applying for jobs on third-party job sites. But the other part of what we do is then do automation. I think bots you can overdo bots. Yeah. And I don't like automation that is trying to pretend to be a human. And I think certainly in this, my mum's a retired estate agent. So whilst I've never been an estate agent, I certainly have an appreciation for the industry to a certain degree. And I think a lot of, whether it's estate agents or other brands, the people side of it is important. People buy from people. And I think that's incredibly important, certainly with the estate agency sector. So for example, when an inquiry comes in, now, we could then, if it's for a rental, we might say, right, are you a smoker? Do you have any pets? Pre-qualify. And that's all when I'm talking about automation, I'm not trying to make a bot pretend to be a human, because the technology, I suppose, technically is there, but you've got to train it. And most organizations don't have the resources to do the correct training, because you have to almost think of every scenario in advance. But I live and breathe by the 80-20 rule in life. And with all these inquiries coming in, if you can just ask a couple of questions out of people, then it's sort of hands off to a human, where it's pre-qualified and ready to go. So, it could be, right, I want to sell my house. Well, we can then, potentially build, put into that some sort of shared calendar in there. So, we could then see who in your team is available to do a viewing. So we could automate that. We could, like I say, ask someone, do you have any pets? So that when it hits the agent, they can just respond straight away. Or, sorry, this landlord doesn't accept pets. And it's nailed down. There's no wasting time.
That was the thing that jumped out at me, is that this just can be, this can be put into your process, because it's obviously still a digital format. So whether that's including links out to, to Calendly to book in directly with the diary, or, sending it back to landing pages, where it just can be, it can be absolutely plotted into digital nurturing campaigns, can't it?
Yep.
But
Absolutely.
all with that beautiful immediacy of WhatsApp and what it has. Now, Paul, a lot of people are going to be sat here watching this and saying, shrugging their shoulders and saying, "Well, we're doing WhatsApp at the moment, and we're doing great guns with it." But a lot of those will be using their own personal WhatsApp. Now, just talk us through why that's a massive no-no.
Okay, so you're right. Most, and again, it's not just estate agents, car dealers, recruiters, they're all having work-related chat on their personal accounts. So portal lead comes in, you phone them up, they don't answer, you send them a WhatsApp message. So first thing is, it is a GDPR breach. Your phone has a contact list on there, and you've got other apps. Your reverse pub. So take House Party. So back when the first lockdown kicked in, House Party just went nuts. You download House Party, and it says, "Can we have access to your contacts?" Yes. I mean, who reads any of those things on their phone? Right? So just because, and I get agents, I've been told many a time that, well, the customer's WhatsApp, it's all good, we're okay with it. It's not as simple as that. So you've just, your negotiator has now downloaded House Party on their phone. They've now reverse published every contact on that phone out to House Party. Don't have consent to do that. And I know GDPR is one of these. It's there's certain things with GDPR which you might think, but it's a breach. But more importantly, and this is the one that I always sort of refer back to, is that as of December 2019, WhatsApp changed their terms, and they have stated, and it's in there, it's black and white, anyone can go and read it. It says, we will take legal action against anyone that violates our terms. Those terms include non-personal use on personal accounts.
But for now, anyway, Paul, absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much, and stay in contact. Cheers.
Yep. Hey, Simon. Thanks. Bye.